What's up, Online Empire Academy? I am Joshua Woodward. I'm the head of our podcast department and so excited to be here today. We have a fun group on today. It's the FBA Photo guys, and I'm really excited about this because it's not an area that I necessarily think about. And I wanted to have them on to kind of talk through, first off, their story, second, their importance of photography within your FBA listings, and then we'll talk about some other stuff too. But I'm really excited about this. So what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a good day, a hectic day, lots of interviews, but this is one of my last ones, so I'm excited. Cool. So tell us your guys' story. How did you get started? And then kind of segue into what exactly FBA Photo is.
Well, I got started probably by half the other FBA community by listening to Jessica LaRue's podcast on Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income. And, I was really excited. So I went out and I bought, downloaded the Amazon seller app and went to the local dollar store, bought 4 bottles of shampoo and came home and realized that one, I wasn't ungated in health and beauty. 2, it was a multi-pack. And 3, my wife looked at me like, what the hell are you doing? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of, so that kind of shelved my FBA life for a few months. And then in January 2015, I was looking for some side income, just looking to do something different. I said, there's just so many people on Facebook that are just promoting this, saying how well they're doing. So many groups I joined, and I was, read every newbie question and every newbie group. And so I remember getting all these, my first shipment was an OA from Walmart. And I remember I didn't know anything about inventory placement. So, I literally sent one toy to each distribution center across the country and paid $8 to $10 shipping. And, but the point wasn't to make profit at that point. It was really to just proof of concept, to see that if I could just buy something and someone will sell it. And that's what I was really looking for. And that's what happened. Something sell, they all sold in 2 and 3 weeks. And I was completely amazed. The first time you make internet money, it's awesome. And so I started buying more stuff, and I took about $500-700 and I started buying products and selling them. And then I told my wife, I was like, listen, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm actually making money. Look, here are the numbers. I'm buying this and I'm selling it for this, and there's money to be made, and this is something I'm really going after. This is just something I feel like it's part of me and I need to do.
Now, I'm still an FBA outsider myself. I take photos. I take great photos. And Mike has been selling me for a long time on becoming an Amazon seller. I've been reluctant up to this point because it takes guts. It definitely does. But when we get back from a conference in Orlando coming up that we'll be presenting at, after being exposed to that much of it, I have a feeling that I'll be following Mike down that rabbit hole sooner than later.
I just won't share any of my secret stories around.
Yeah, exactly. Don't share products. Well, very cool. I love it. I love the, there's a birth of, somebody said the other day, laziness is the birth of ingenuity or something like that. And I love that you guys are like, yeah, I'd like to make money. Here's a couple products. I'll just throw them there. And, exactly what you're talking about. It takes money to make money, and it is intimidating at times. So explain now what FBA Photo is.
So FBA Photo is essentially, we started out doing product photography, but then we saw a demand for all types of services, for listing creation, all types of design work, print, package, graphic, web, and we just kind of combined it all. Now, we focus on photography, and we're in the middle of rebranding and doing all this other stuff, which we'll talk to you about at a later point. But, our main goal is to create photos that are so sexy, so sumptuous that you want to what into that screen and pick up that cup and have a drink, or or touch that fabric and just rub it against your skin. That's what sells product.
I love it. That's so cool. So where did the idea come from though? Because it's a lot of people, obviously, unless they're private labeling, the picture's already there for them. So explain kind of your process and how this all got started.
Okay, so
well, Mike's the guy. Mike really brought me into this whole thing. Yeah, he was at one of his networking conferences and doing a lot of talking with some pretty key people. And he came back to me. He's like, there's a real need for high-end photography products or product photography out there. And he knows that I am heavy into photography. I've got a studio set up in my house that I've been using really to take the best Christmas card photos that you've ever seen, and not a whole lot else. So he's like, we need to be doing product photography. And I was like, yeah, we do, because I need a better excuse to keep buying gear so I can justify this stuff to my wife. Yeah. So it worked out perfectly. That's how we got going with it.
Yeah, like some people stock up for like food in the winter, and you go in the basement, you have like cans and like water and all this stuff. Like Chris stocks up on photography. Like if he, like he'll have 6 months of photo equipment ready to go at any point.
I have a lens for every day of the week.
That's awesome. That's so good. Okay, so you created this company. What is it, the target? What I want to help the listeners and the viewers understand is, why is it important to take good photos? I totally hear what you guys are saying, where it's like, I want to reach out and touch it. But why is that important when on eBay you can just take a picture with your cell phone and list it? Like, what is the importance on Amazon specifically for good photos?
Well, for every product that's being sold out there, there's any number of competitors that are selling the same thing that you are. You've got to stand out from the crowd. You've got to give the best presentation possible if you want to get those sales. If somebody looks at your product photos and they look shoddy, they're going to assume that your product is just as shoddy, and nobody's going to want to buy that. You've got to have professional, well-groomed photos and make your product look as good as it possibly can.
Yeah, you have 1 second to grab someone's attention. Like literally, like on Amazon, when you type in like toilet paper or whatever you're searching, you have a list of 20 products. And you, as a buyer, we all know, because we all shop on Amazon, pretty much live on Amazon. You have 1 second go, that looks good. Someone spent money on that product shot, which means they care about their product, which means they have money, which means they're investing their money in good quality products. It all rolls back to a business. You're not going to walk into like a storefront with a broken window and, like a crackling paint sign, unless it's like one of those really cool hole in the wall restaurants that like no one knows about, but it's still kind of sketchy. You're just going to walk past it, and you're going to go give your business to someone who cares about their appearance, who cares how their wait staff is, who cares how their product is, how their listing is. It's all, it can make or break a sale.
That's really good. I think sometimes we forget as sellers that there is 1 second. We have 1 second. I love that you just said that, especially, and we're kind of going through a series right now, if you want to call it that, about private labeling and why people are private labeling and what it does for your business. And I think that this is definitely, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this service is definitely targeted for the people who are bringing their own products to market. If I'm making a mug, like I want to make that mug the best mug possible.
Exactly.
Why would you fall short of taking a photo, and not having the best photo taken? So for let's say I am bringing a mug to market. How do I get in touch with you guys? What is the process that I need to go through to get into touch with you guys?
Any number of ways. I honestly probably do 95% of my business through Facebook Messenger. And I mean, it's really simple. I always ask, give me your competitor's product. Who are you competing against? And 95, 100% of people have a competitor. Most people are not bringing a brand new product to market. And that's really where the basis on like what we're going to do is compare it against. Because if your competitor only has 2 shots, you could probably get away with 4 really nice shots and you don't have to spend a fortune on it. If your competitor's got 8 shots with models like running in the night, dripping sweat with all this lighting and dogs and I mean like everything known to man, then yeah, you're going to spend some money doing shots. You need to compete. If you're in any other industry, you need to compete against your competitor, which it's stupid.
No, it's good.
Yeah. You can't go in with like half the budget as your competitor and expect to make money or expect sales. They're going to crush you. you need to go in with like a budget in mind that like you're willing to spend on giveaways, on photos, on listing creations. And this goes beyond private label too. I mean, for wholesale products, any product that you're going to continually sell, this works for. Specifically like bundling, you know, like all the holiday bundles, any wholesale bundles, private label, you need great shots. You want these people literally to go, that's the product I want. I don't need to look at anything else.
That's so good. Yeah, I just actually talked to Larry Jorgensen, who runs a hot sauce company and manufactures hot sauce. But one of the things that he was talking about was how much marketing is a part of this business. And photography is a huge marketing tool and a huge tool that people forget about. I mean, I've optimized my listings on eBay. I love eBay. So I've optimized my listings by making a really aesthetically pleasing environment to take photos in. And that's just something that I've felt is necessary and ended up helping my sales and helping exactly that 1 second click rate of going in. For the people who may not have the finances to go run a huge campaign and do all this, what are some practical ways that people can upgrade the photos that they're already taking?
Well, yeah, that's a big one. I mean, when it comes to people taking their own photos, you know, there's a lot of snafus with there, because you know, you've got to consider your composition. You can't have weak composition. You've got to know how to light your product properly, because a poorly lit product is not going to work out well. And if you don't have the equipment, you know, the lighting setup and the camera gear, your images are going to be technically inferior. But beyond that, even taking a photo with the best equipment around you, every picture still needs some refinement out of the camera. You know, there's post-processing that has to be considered. It starts with blemish removal on the product, and then you've got color and tone corrections. You know, you've got masking, which is an art in and of itself to be able to get your background right. And you know, and then you've got the final tweaks to like highlights and shadows that give your images depth and realism. If any of these things aren't done well, your images are not going to look good. Your product is going to look like junk. And you know, those are difficult things for most people to be able to do on their own or do well. You need the equipment, you need the software, you need the skills. You need a professional.
Yeah, Josh, let me give you an example, Josh. You got $1 million in the bank. You're like, you got bank. You're doing great with your business, and you said, I'm going to build a mansion. But then you go, you know what? I'm going to save a little money. I'm going to build the foundation out of straw, sticks, and mud. And then I'm going to build the exterior around on concrete, but everything's going to rest on this. That's more or less what kind of you asked. Like, you can't take like a picture that was done on an iPhone, you know, with poor lighting and make it look like $1 million. It's like the cost. I'll rephrase that. You can do it, but the cost it would incur to Photoshop all of that like junk out and readjust the lighting and re-put in the highlights and do all this stuff, it would just be easier to have someone professionally shoot it in the first place and save everyone a lot of time and hassle.
And when you consider the amount of money that most sellers are investing in their product to get going, it's absurd not to invest in your listing, in your photos, and the listing itself. I mean, one of the other things that we see, in addition to poor product photos on Amazon, you just see a lot of poor text as well, and that's just as much of a sin. You know, you see poor grammar, bad syntax, and confusing descriptions. Those things are an immediate turnoff for any buyer. Again, it comes down to your presentation. You need to have a polished, professional listing if you want to sell big.
Yeah, let me ask you, Josh, how many times have you tried to list a product, or the audience list a product, and it says multi-pack on it, but there's no quantity anywhere, and all the ranks are like in the hundreds of thousands, and you're just sitting there like, oh man, now I got to create my own listing because like no one, like there's a weight, it says it weighs 80 pounds, but like how many bars of soap is in 80 pounds, you know? You know, like no
totally.
one even, yeah, no one wrote, okay, 8 pack of 6 or 48 count or whatever. I mean, like such basic things, you know, some guy just like, okay, I'll just throw this up and list it, you know?
No, that totally makes sense, and it's not something that I've never necessarily thought that much about. I mean, obviously, title, making sure that you have your keywords and doing the best that you can with that. But I love what you just said about quantity, because that's a huge thing, and I think that I've forgotten that sometimes. Not necessarily putting the quantity, but having that even in the listing title. So yeah, I love that. What do you guys do? As for, I mean, you're talking about the making sure your text is right. Do you guys help with that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we do full listing creation as well. What we do with the listing creation is we analyze your top 3 competitors. We break apart word count for title, description, bullet points. We then break it a point by word frequency, run it against like keyword research, and then we take like this smorgasbord of like keywords, search words, and go against your competitor. We hit like the word count range, we hit the word frequency range. If like all 3 of your competitors are using the word, like again, hot sauce, you know, you want to throw in hot sauce in your title. And the key is not to do this, you know, not to go like hot sauce, great, super hot sauce, you know, and then on the listing go best hot sauce in the world, and then the description go like the super best hot sauce in the world. Like Amazon's like a lot smarter than most of these people think. Like they just, you know, have a simple algorithm that goes ignore, you know, one keyword. That's all we need.
That's really good. So you guys explain a little bit of your service, because I think that I want to know, you know, you got your big umbrella, and I want to know what's under that umbrella.
Well, I mean, Mike and I have been best friends for as long as I can possibly remember.
Yeah, we were each other's best men at, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun working with your best friend. And we complement each other's talents perfectly. I have a science background, and, you know, I'm the master of all things technical over here. I can achieve any look I want with, you know, the lighting and the gear. And Mike has an art background. His photoshopping skills are second to none. This guy works magic. Yeah, and we combine these talents to produce the most fantastic images that you can possibly imagine of the most basic products that you guys are trying to sell.
Yeah.
Now, and besides the photography, again, we offer all of these other listing services. Mike is just, he's a creative genius as far as I'm concerned. Mike just puts together the most amazing packages, and then I make them better.
Yeah.
I am a grammar. What's the politically correct word of saying?
Fanatic.
Fanatic. I'm a fanatic. I proofread everything. It's got to read perfectly. Everything's got to look perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt for a second, Josh. I'll just understand Chris's copy skills is my dad's a patent attorney, so he goes through all my contracts, like literally, like, and when I write up, you know, I'm always doing new businesses, and I say, oh, I need a contract. This is what I wrote up. You know, it looks like someone like stabbed my contract with all the red he like puts on it. You know, me and Chris sat down for 2 to 3 hours to do the photo contract, and I gave it to my dad, and he sends it back with like 2 little red dots, like, oh yeah, like this word should be that and a period here. And I was like laughing because I've never seen that before in my life, you know, like, you know, it just doesn't happen when I write a contract.
This is just the world that I live in. I deal with this kind of stuff all the time. So, you know, when it comes to language, technical, basically, you know, anything that involves the left brain, you know, that's my side of the equation, and Mike handles the rest. And together, you know, we make a pretty good team.
Yeah. I love it. That's so cool. So if I'm walking in and I want you guys, again, let's use the example of a mug. I want to produce a mug. I want to make a listing for a mug. Take me through step by step what you guys do. Okay.
So first thing that really differentiates us is that I care about, not that other people don't care about their clients, but I've had bad business advice before. You know, I want to make sure that you're going to make money, or at worst case, break even and recoup your money, right? So when you give me a product, I always say, give me your competitors. Let me just, I spend like maybe 2 to 3 minutes just making sure that like you're not going up against someone with 1,000 reviews or like some huge name brand stuff. Because trust me, I get a lot of that. You know, I had one product and I was just like, what are you doing? You're not going to sell it. Like, and they're like, well, we ordered it already. I said, okay, well, we'll make it look as good as we can, but this is, you know, I like the top 5 competitors had 1,000+ reviews, and I'm like, unless you throw like $10,000 at this thing, like it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, and oftentimes I'll call, like I know I called a client the other day because it was like a it was like a lower selling product around like an $8 range, and you know, like for doing private label, you got to land that for like $1 maybe. Yeah. You know, because if the market changes down to like $6, boom, there's your profit. So I actually called. I said, you know what, just give me a call. It'd be easier than going back and forth on Facebook or Messenger. And, you know, he was really appreciative. He's like, you know, I'm glad you looked out for me. And I said, you know, this is, you know, what we do. It turns out he was familiar with the industry. He had like a lot of contacts and he knew what he was doing, which was great. But, you know, a lot of the times people don't. And, you know, that's where we start. And then, so we look at your competition, which is the main thing. And we try and, again, I talk people out of photos all the time. You know, I could probably take 2 to 3 more shots per photo if I wanted to, but, you know, it's just not necessary. We try and do the photos that can explain your product in the simplest way possible that can go against your competition. Again, if your competition's got full-blown models running, you know, you're going to have to spend some money. Either way, whether you get a model in the studio to do it or we have to Photoshop it on, it's kind of almost the same price. You know, because we have to photograph the product at the same angle where the model's wrist is and then pop it on and then change the lighting. And, you know, I've studied, I have a background in classical painting. I can do portraiture. So I've spent my life studying form, composition, design, you know, lighting. So like when I need to like throw a product on a model in Photoshop, you're not going to be able to tell that it wasn't done in the studio. It looks real. And, you know, so anyway, back to the original, we'll look at your competition's listings and we'll see their photographs, and then we'll give you a rough estimate, usually within 5 minutes, to say, okay, this will be like 6 photos. It'll be, you know, maybe a little more because there's a reflection, maybe there's a group shot. But, you know, if we can get it down to like 2 shots and keep the main part simple and spend more money on the lifestyles and it's necessary, then we do it. And I think what differs too is I explain everything from an artistic standpoint of what we're doing, you know, that way the consumer can make an empirical decision. That way, you know, I'm not just like, it's got to be red right here, you know, like the typical artist, like, oh, it's got to be red. This is the way it's done. No arguing. You know, you get that a lot in the art world. And to me, it's just, that's a bunch of BS. It says, this is why I'm doing it. This is how we're going to do it. And specifically, we're doing it because this is what your competition's doing and we need to do it. Now, if you want to save money, we could try doing it, but I'm not guaranteeing results.
I think one of the main things that really distinguishes us from the competition is the fact that, you know, in addition to, you know, being on this end of the business, you know, serving the sellers, Mike is also an experienced seller who's been in it for a little while and, you know, understands how a lot of this works and is able to offer that insight to the clients and be able to offer that kind of advice to really, you know, push their product ahead. And the fact that, you know, we do, you know, not turn down projects, but actually dissuade people from going overboard with their projects. Whereas another photographer, you know, outfit would, you know, yeah, we'll do as many as you want. Let me upsell you on more and more. And that's not our goal here. We're not looking to, you know, get rich, you know, selling, you know, 5 extra photos that you don't need. You know, we just want the word of mouth. We want everybody to have a great experience with us. We want to save you money and help you sell, and just, you know, spread the word on. You know, we work with volume.
What is the average investment in, so if somebody's coming in, they want photos done, what's the average investment in photos going to cost?
Usually runs like $200 to $400 is like a base, as a rough photo shoot. And from there you can get
for how many images?
Yeah, like 4 to 7, depending on like what you're shooting. Now, again, like if you got like a product with 20 components to it, we have to arrange and polish every component. Like it's, you know, it's not one product. That's like 20 different things we have to like organize. And obviously it reflects in pricing. But, you know, like really, like people don't understand. It's like we wipe everything down, we polish it, we dust it. We have like some $200 air filtration system just to make sure there's no dust particles in the air. Then when it's arranged, we have to sit there and like literally like arrange everything. Like in a line, and just because it looks nice how you arrange it does not mean it looks nice on the camera. So you ended up distorting things because like the spatial dimension changes as products go back, and all this has to do with composition.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's a far different world than just putting something down on the table and whipping out your iPhone and snapping a picture.
Totally.
It's a production.
Yeah. What most people don't understand is like every shape, every line means something. Like whether you're conscious of it or not, the way an angle, like again, like a half circle pointing up is as a smile, but going the other way is a frown. If you have that shape in your picture, if your products are arcing down, it subconsciously shows that like someone's unhappy. A lot of people don't think about stuff like this. Like you want we read left to right. You want the viewer to either come in at the center, come in at the left and move through your product, or you want it to have a natural organic movement. All this is really considered when we do our shots. We sit there and look at it, arrange it, and try different compositions to make it look as best as we can. Composition
is very important. It's often extremely unconsidered, especially in a product photo.
Yeah.
It sounds artsy fartsy, but it really does on a subconscious level. It has an effect on the buyer the moment they look at your picture, and you've got to grab them in that 1 second.
I like it. What is the typical ROI that comes along with that investment? So it's a $200 investment. You say you at times have turned down people. What is the typical ROI that you're looking for a customer to make on these photos?
It's hard to say. Like we did this drinking style cup, and the customer came back to me and he says, so many people complimented me on the shot. I know, I hit it out of the ballpark on my first private label. And I know those photos had something to do with it. So it's hard to say, but like when I do private label, I have this huge spreadsheet going, and the photo cost is factored into it. So it's hard to say that like, well, you're going to spend $200 on me and you're going to make $200 back. I mean, if you do the right product and the right photos, you're going to make 1,000,000 times back. It's part of a package. You can't really separate, like the photos from the research, from the actual product, from the market, from the reviews.
That's good. No, I appreciate that. Well, man, I think that it's definitely opened my eyes. I mean, even you guys talking about the whole frown to smile. I've never thought of that, and I'm sure I've done it wrong before. And I appreciate you guys coming on and talking about what you guys are up to. And we have, if you guys want to know more about them, just go to the onlineempireacademy.com/FBA Photos, and there you'll be directed to their site, and you'll find out more about what they're up to. And if you guys want to go through and purchase this service, they're giving and correct me if I'm wrong, 10% off for anybody listening or watching these videos, correct?
That is correct.
Perfect. Yeah, you guys, you guys have heard it. There's so much value that comes with taking a good photo, and obviously you've got that 1 second. That's so important. I want to reiterate that. You have 1 second to catch that buyer's attention and be that photo, be that item that people's attention is being drawn towards. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Any ending words of wisdom for the listeners on photos and what to do and not to do?
I think the words of wisdom were more in general for private label. Is a lot of the times product and listing services are an afterthought. People spend all their money on products and just like want the cheapest, crappiest, quickest photos and listing done because they're just like, oh, I got to sell this stuff now to make my money back. And you can't do that. Like a private label is a business. You need to analyze it, and inside analyzing your product, you need to factor in giveaways, photography, listing. If you can't do any of these services, you need to factor it in. Package design, logo design, like this is all part of it. And like when I do my products, that they're there on my spreadsheet is cost of goods, landing cost, review cost, all of this is factored in on my ROI, specifically on my first, few months shipment.
Yeah, the thing to walk away with is short and simply, the best product listings that you see out there are the ones that have been crafted by professionals. If you want to get the best results and if you want to sell the most product, hire a professional. hire us.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for being on. Again, if you guys want to know more about FBA Photos, go to the onlineempireacademy.com/FBA Photos, and you'll be able to learn all about what they're doing and also get that 10% off if you guys want more information about them. So, you guys, thank you so much for being on.
Oh, it's a pleasure, man.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, Empire, go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, all the different platforms, guys. We're there. So excited that you joined us on this podcast. Have a great day.
You too,
man.
Take care.